went and worked at Manukau Pack and Save, and from there discovered the opportunity, or the New Zealand's best kept secret of career opportunities, and then decided at that stage that was the goal to pursue, versus the conventional university study or other training sort of avenues. So once I committed to it, I really found that I had this unknown love or passion for people and food and the industry, and I think it's just because it suits my personality in terms of it. It's fast-paced, you can make changes immediately, and you're just surrounded by everybody that wants to see you succeed, and that in itself is such an encouraging environment and something so special to be a part of. That's what keeps you there, and before you know it, you, like me, I've done 25 odd years in it, and it feels like nothing, but just because you're doing something you love.
I owned a Foursquare, so I've kind of grown up out the back of a store. But what I learnt in the Foursquare, you can never learn working for someone else. Learning to trade the store with the confines of the limited trade offers that we have within Foursquare, or awesome training ground. So that when I made the next step into a supermarket, it was a much easier step. And each time you've got into a bigger store, you learn something new, but it kind of gets easier because you've learnt those skills as you've come up. So I'm a real advocate for coming up via the Foursquare route, because it teaches you things that you just don't get when you're working for someone else who gets to make the big decisions.
So I started out as a 16-year-old school kid, so I was a trolley boy at Pack and Save Glennin's. So I worked there for 10 years while I went through my schooling and my university education, and after that I really felt passionate and connected about the industry, and it was something that I could see myself doing for a long period of time. So I took a full-time role as the grocery manager at Pack and Save Glennin's, and from there I had the opportunity to work with some wonderful people and progress through the ranks, and then I was a store manager at Sylvia Park. From there I was lucky enough to get accepted to the trainee operator program, and I did my training, and then I bought my first store in New Tikawiti, so down in the King Country. Fantastic place for a first shop, wonderful community, really enjoyed my time there, and since then I've been lucky enough to sell that store and purchase the New Wood here at Mount Roskill, and I've been here for 4 years now.
So I had previously owned cafes, and then I had become a food manufacturer. So I had supplied supermarkets and fell in love with them. So I was told when I joined Foodstuffs as a trainee owner-operator that I needed to slow down and take time to learn, and that allowed me to learn, and it's allowed my process to speed up. So I guess it's slowing down to speed up, and that's what I would say.
I came from outside the industry. In my previous life I was actually a GP in Whakatane, and just for lots and lots of reasons, but as much as I think the biggest thing I wanted to do was lead a team and see what impact I could have on a group rather than on a one-to-one, and found out about this opportunity. And I tell you, the first time I rang Foodies and I said, hey, I want to be a grocer, and they say, well, have you got any experience? And they go, nah. And I said, well, have you worked in the industry? Nah. I said, I'm a GP, and they just went silent on the other end of the phone. But eventually they let me train, and I got in, and I've never looked back. It's been fantastic.
Before I was in the supermarket game, I did a law degree at Auckland Uni, and worked as a lawyer for 7-8 years, and then rugby went professional, and I couldn't get out of that law office quick enough, and played professional rugby for about 8 years, best job in the world, and while I was playing rugby I decided that my next job I wanted to enjoy it as much as I did the rugby, and then I met a few supermarket guys, and I thought this is my kind of group of people, and that's how I got into the supermarket game. I coached a under 12 rugby team out in East Tamaki in Otara. And I used to take them out of Auckland every year, and this particular year we went snowboarding, and I had 22 players, and we had 97 people wanted to come on the trip because no one had ever been to the snow, and I didn't have enough money for 2 buses. I only had enough money for 1 bus, and the local Pack and Save guy, Vern Hayden in Manukau Pack and Save, and the local New World guy was Jason Whittiheader at Botany New World. I'd met them previously, and they'd said if I ever needed a hand with the rugby team, to give them a yell. So I went and saw them, and they paid for both the buses and gave us all the food. and that's how I sort of discovered these guys are pretty good. And I said to them, I can't pay you back. And Vern said, yes you can, you're working in my produce department for nothing for a week. So for the whole week I cut cabbage, lettuce, cauliflower, cabbage, lettuce, cauliflower, from 5 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, and I actually quite enjoyed it. And at the end of the week, we had a lunch up in the staff room, and we had lunch, and then the boss says, right, Vern says, right, pay up, everyone starts putting $10 on the table. And I thought we had to pay for lunch, and I put my $10 out, and he goes, oh no mate, all these people bet you wouldn't be here by Friday. So that's how I got introduced to the supermarket guys.
Yeah, so my previous experience, I worked for Coca-Cola and Frucor and a few other companies within FMCG for about 10 years in marketing. And I always wanted to get into this particular industry. So after about 8 or 9 years, I decided I kind of had the right skills and capability to try and give Foodstuffs a crack.
My journey started when I was about 14. I was working in a McDonald's restaurant, and I got to get exposure to the owner-operator model, processes, people development, all that kind of thing, and I just loved it. I went to Otago University, graduated there, got into IT project management, and it was when, it was about sort of 14 years later, I decided I was actually ready. I had the maturity, I'd lived overseas, I was ready to take that leap and come into Foodstuffs. So everyone's journey is different in this, to becoming an owner or a store manager or anything. Everyone starts in a different space, everyone has a different experience. One thing that I learned was that it's not easy. A piece of advice I'd look to give to someone starting up would be, just get in there, get your hands dirty, get in and experience it.
I've worked in supermarkets from after school and high school, and had my journey through a few different industries. Came back to supermarkets in my early 30s. I worked for Kapiti Pack and Save for 8 years in the management team. I had 8 years break when I had young children. We lived in Queenstown for a while, and then we came back to start my journey back into the grocery industry 5 years ago.